Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen, Alyx King, and Bill G here on this Tuesday, March the 19th, 2019. It's 4 p.m. in New York, 1 p.m. in Los Angeles. It's 8 p.m. in London and Sydney, Australia. You should be around 7 a.m. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy that for the second day in a row, we're actually able to live stream. This is a good thing. This is an improvement. Or I should say the second episode in a row. So looks like Facebook finally got all their issues straightened out. That's a good thing. And we were able to, we did a short podcast this morning, Alyx and Bill. Steve Rowell, who you may or may not know, he was sexually abused by the vicar of his parish in the Church of England when he was a teenager and had been through quite a bit getting reparations and having even addressed and so forth. And he's now a spokesman and an advocate for other victims and survivors. And he was interviewed in one of the national papers in the UK, I believe it was the Mirror, this past Sunday. And now it's leading to all kinds of, he's in, so he's being interviewed on television and getting all kinds of media requests and so forth, trying to do his best to reach out and help other survivors. And, so we had to do a short podcast this morning because he had an interview to do right in the middle of when we would normally be podcasting. So it was both exciting and short, but it was good stuff. So this is our first full podcast using the live stream, but that's a good thing. And Bill, you have a little thing you're going to do with us today. Why don't you tell people what we're going to be doing? And by the way, anyone who's tuning into the live stream, feel free to type questions in because we'll be doing Q&A as well. But Bill, what did you have in mind for us to do today?
Well, what I had in mind today was to give you guys a demonstration of what I do for my clients, which is spiritual response therapy. And just to give you a little background of what it is, it's a system of soul research where we research your soul records using a pendulum and a series of charts developed by Robert Detzler, who is a spiritual counselor out in the Seattle, Washington area. And this is since he started doing the training other people how to do SRT in the late 1980s, today there are literally thousands of people across the world who know how to use this modality and use it for seeing clients and helping people live their best lives and open up blockages when it comes to allowing good things to come into their lives and living their best lives. So that's basically what I do.
Good stuff. All right. And Alyx and I were also talking before the podcast started because we both kind of dived into the world of script writing and screenwriting, particularly script writing for the fiction podcast that we're putting together, The Grass is Greener. And Bill, you actually took a stab at this last week. But Alyx, I think we both discovered that the whole thing about script writing it's a lot more difficult than it sounds, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm, definitely is.
It's kind of it's an eye-opener.
The issue I had was the difference between when I was writing my script back in the day, that it was literally based on real life situations that had happened to me. So it was easier for me to just word for word what happened and what people said. So it was so much easier than trying to imagine and create.
Let's just say we have new respect for screenwriters and scriptwriters because, oh my goodness, what a job they have. Oh. But Bill promised us. What was that?
That's why they have a team.
That's why they have a team. That's right. Yeah, you divide it up into pieces. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Bill promised us that he could clear all that negative angst for us, so maybe it'll make it easier for us to do our script writing. Sound good?
Cool.
Well, we can certainly try.
All right, let's see what happens then. So, Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you. What do we do next? Because I have no idea what to do with SRT, so you're going to have to guide us through this whole thing.
Okay. Well, first I thought we would do something relatively simple, and Alyx has agreed to be my my online client.
Oh,
Guinea
pig. The guinea pig.
And something that has been nagging the back of my mind, and I believe it's been Spirit trying to address something, is that Alyx, self-admittedly, is the queen of insomnia. The self-proclaimed queen of insomnia, and I thought that we would dive into that a little bit to see what was going on there. And then what we can do is we can look into your script writing thing, and then if anyone on the podcast and the live stream has any specific questions that they want to have addressed and cleared, we can do that.
Very cool.
And if not, there are other places we can go. And Alyx and I were talking a little bit about that too. But we'll cross that bridge if we need to go to crossing that bridge.
Okay. Somehow I have a feeling we're gonna have plenty of material here to go through. I don't think we're gonna have any trouble with that.
I think we're going to be just fine. Okay, so first of all, when I first sit down with a client, the first thing what I do is we sit down and we just clear and just make sure that we're nice and connected, and we ask to be connected to spirit and our high self and our high self committee. Our high self committee consists of souls that are there to help us out in life. And what we do is we reduce the number of members of the soul committee to the lowest number for the highest effectiveness, so which is usually about 2 or 3. So we first check in, I first check in for myself. How big is my self committee? It says it's got 2. And I'll check in for Alyx and see how many is in her high self committee. It's now saying it's 9.
Oof.
That's a little too many.
Dang. I got a lot of people.
What we're going to do is we're going to cull that herd a little bit. We're going to bring that back. We're going to bring down to the lowest number that is the highest effectiveness. All right, we now got that down to 2. So we've temporarily laid off those other ones.
I didn't know there were pink slips on the other side. That's cool.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it literally in the non-physical world, it literally is too many cooks in the kitchen is not necessarily a good thing. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that high self committee is operating at the highest level, and with that, I go to a chart that measures the level of soul vibration for that particular group. And so I'm just going to check in with that. Where is page 2? On page 1, where is Alyx's high self committee right now? It's still in the incarnation level, so we're going to raise that up a little bit. The thing is, what we want to do is we want to raise that high self committee's soul consciousness to the absolute highest level. So where are they now? 1 or 2? It's on page 2, and yes, now we got that raised up to the highest level. So now we're working with the right team.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. That's the first step. We make sure that you got the team with you that is the best one to do the job. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to check in with a chart called miscellaneous blocks. And miscellaneous blocks are the ones that we're going to look into to see which ones are what's blocking you today. What are those things today that are in your way to prevent you from having any clearing today? So that's in what we call chart 10A. There's actually 32 charts, but there's actually more than 32 charts because a few of them have A's and B's involved.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So it's more like 40 charts.
Okay.
So first of all, we're going to take a look at that. Okay, so first thing that came up was curses.
Ooh.
Next thing that's coming up. There's about 3 or 4 things usually when we look with that. We have polarity beliefs.
You're going to give us some explanation on these, right? So we know what we're talking about.
Yes. Curses are not necessarily things that people have inflicted upon us, because when we look at SRT and even with law of attraction, it's not really about other people. It's about you. Everything is about you. So these are curses that you've self-limitations that you've placed on yourself. Polarity beliefs is a belief in good, bad, what some people call duality. So it's a belief that there are good things in the world, there are bad things in the world, when in reality it's neither or neither. Just like the law of attraction doesn't discriminate against what you want, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. What you put out, you get.
Right.
And so the next thing we're going to look at, we've got some blocked chakras.
Facts.
She already knows that one.
And for people who don't know, your chakras are the energy centers. There's 7 energy centers along your spine that help facilitate energy flow, your connection to the earth and connection to the non-physical. And when any one of them is blocked, it can block your ability to receive wisdom and to be grounded. And last but not least, we have subconscious clutter.
Oh, that's a big one.
And subconscious clutter is that basically too much going on in the noggin, where it's difficult to focus. So what we're going to do is we take those 4 and we say to your high self committee, please clear those. We want them all nice and clear, so that way we can work on the other stuff. And then what I'm doing is when the pendulum's doing a circular motion like this, it means it's clearing. And what I'm waiting for is for it to do that. When it goes in the up and down position, then we know we're clear. And the way the pendulum works is it works with the subtle muscle movements of my arm. So it's total unconscious movement. And so a yes response is the up and down. A no response is left and right. And then when we're clearing, it goes in a circular motion. Some people believe that if it's in a clockwise, that's a good thing, and if it's in an anti-clockwise, it's a bad thing. I think it just comes down to personal taste at that point. As long as the circular motion's doing work. Next place we go to is we have to check out if you've got any vow programs going. And vows are things that you make promises to yourself that can get in the way of your clearing. So if these can be conscious vows, these can be unconscious vows. And so what we're going to look at right now is 3 or 4 items on that chart as well. Okay. First one is subservience. Second one is obsessive thoughts.
Oh, facts.
At least you're in tune, Alex. You know what the difficulties are, so
Third one.
You're recognizing,
Third one is manifest results. And the fourth one, is there a fourth one? Yes, show me. Is purity. So what this is saying is that there is an unconscious vow that you're going to be subservient. So you're going to be basically a self-proclaimed slave to an idea or person. Obsessive thoughts is things that are rolling in your head that you can't get out of your head. Manifesting results is where you're concentrating on a result without understanding the work involved to get there. And a vow of purity is where you are looking for something on the outside that is pure and perfect to allow that into your life. So you're what you want is something that is perfect, and you're not allowing anything in that is imperfect. So that's another thing that we need to look at. So that's another thing we need to clear. So these are self-eval. I mean, is this resonating so far?
Yeah, I was just talking about that purity thing with my friend last night, and I decided to let something in.
There you go. There you go. It's amazing how accurate this stuff can be. So we're going to clear those. Get those out of the way.
By the way, these hashtags are crazy.
Oh, are they?
I mean, it's great because they're all about me, but that's fine.
All about me. That's it's me.
It's the Alyx show.
Okay. Last thing we're going to check into is we're going to check into your mother and father energy. How we feel about mom and dad. Because the reason why we do this is we need to check, because your mother and father are the doorway to your physical existence. Mm-hmm. And so what we need to do is we need to first check in to see where your positive and negative energies are with them. And then we need to raise them to 100% positive and 0% negative. So the first thing we're going to do is we check in with mom and find out what is the percentage of positive energy with mom right now. 80% positive, not bad.
80, that's it?
80% positive. What is the percentage of negative energy with mom right now? It's only 10%. Excellent. And it doesn't matter that it comes up to 100%. When we're talking about percentages, we're only talking about degrees of intensity.
Okay.
So if we don't add up to 100%, don't worry about it. Okay, now we're going to check in with dad. What is the percentage of positive energy with dad right now? It is now at 30%.
That's like...
And I won't even ask you if that's lower or higher than you expected.
Right. I'm definitely higher than I
energy with dad right now is at 20%, which isn't terrible.
You know what? That's right. That's probably right.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to raise that energy to 100% positive and 0% negative without research. Okay. Right, now that's all set. And this is what we call our prep to work. So whenever we're meeting with a new client and whatever, the prep to work when I see a repeat client is very quick, because this is whenever I'm meeting with a new client, we do this prep to work, so that way we can be sure that we are on the right wavelength. So now the next thing we're going to look at is now we're ready to get into the meat and bones here. So we're going to let's look at the insomnia and let's see where it takes us. I have no idea where this is going to start, where this is going to go, and that's the good thing, because the first thing we do is we let go of any expectations. Okay. Now, before I get into this, are there any comments or whatever on the Facebook group that are coming through?
Mostly just greetings, saying hello to us, to each other, and so forth. So nothing specific to what we're doing yet. Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's get going. First place we're going to go. Well, first of all, let's ask if this is where we're going to go. All right. Let's take a look. All right. So we're going to first go to 10B. Which is 10B is programs created by spirit. So we'll go to 10B and let's take a look. Where are we going? All right. Experience is the process. All right. Now, I always go to 3 or 4 charts with each question, because what I'm looking for is a story. I'm trying to get a complete picture of what's going on. so that way we can go as deep as possible and really explore an issue. So right now it's going to experiences the process. It doesn't tell us a whole lot, so we're going to go on to the next one.
Bill, what are the names of these charts?
I'm sorry?
What are the name of these charts?
The name of the chart, the first chart is programs created by...
Who are they done by? Like, what's the...
Oh, Robert Detzler. Robert Detzler. Detzler. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And actually, you can find out all about them at the Spiritual Response Association website, which is spiritualresponse.com. All one word.
Okay.
All right. So where was I? What did I say? It was chart 15. We're going to chart 15, which is IM level consciousness programs. That gets a little deep. Probably more time. That will require more explanation than I have time to get into. But suffice it to say, this IM level consciousness programs have to do with programs that are placed in the soul record when the soul is developing consciousness.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a dysfunction of creative energy. Okay. Again, so now so far we have experiences the process, dysfunction of creative energy. So moving on, we go to chart 25, which is called final assurance. Okay. And that one goes to things that are hidden, buried, and covered up. Or covered up. Things that are hidden, buried, or covered up.
Don't tell them where I buried that dead body.
All right. Hidden, buried, or covered up. That's interesting. Do we have another chart to go to? We do. Show me. All right, we're going to chart 26, which is called Freedom is Free.
Okay.
Show me. Okay. This one comes to illness. This one is illness is only an illusion.
It's a nice confirmation of something I believed all along now.
Yeah. And so, is there another chart to go to? There is another chart to go to. Show me. Going to chart 23, which is Spirit Realm program. We're going into high-level programs here. Spirit Realm program. 20. Show me. All right, now this is getting esoteric, so this is going to embryo of the universe.
That's pretty esoteric.
Yep.
And tell us again what you're doing each time you're checking a chart, because we can see you, but we can't see what you're doing on the chart.
Okay, what I'm doing is I start with, you can see it. I start with the front, this chart, which is the one in the front. And on this chart, there are various numbers.
Yeah.
And that tells me which chart to go to. And then I go to that chart, and then...
When you say this, it shows you which chart to go to. How does it show you? I mean, how do you know?
Oh, how does it show me?
Yeah.
How it shows me is I hold the pendulum over the chart, and then I ask it to show me where to go, and then it starts swinging in a direction, and then I know that it's telling me where to go.
Okay.
Okay, is there another chart to look at here? No. Okay, so we have our 4 items. Actually, no, we have 5 items. Experience of the process, dysfunction of creative energy, things that are covered up, hidden, and things we can't see. Illness is only an illusion, an embryo of the universe.
And Jeffrey is asking a question.
This is telling me.
Well, I think you're about to answer the question, but Jeffrey's asking, once you have all this knowledge, what do we do with it?
Well, once we have it all, what we do is then we look for a pattern in relation to the question that was asked. And the question that was asked is, what is the source or purpose of Alyx's insomnia? Or if not the source, where's the malfunction happening?
Okay.
According to the soul record.
Okay.
And this is where I tune in to spirit to kind of fill in the blanks. And so I look at the pattern and then I allow spirit to tell me the story. So here, what I'm looking at is the insomnia appears to be related to your creative energies. It appears that you have things that you want to share with the world, things that you want to give birth to, ideas that you want to give birth to, but they are difficult to get to in your waking state. And so your soul made a contract that it was going to deprive you of sleep in order to achieve an unconscious waking state.
Whoa.
Okay.
That resonates?
How accurate is that? Show me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting 100% accuracy on that.
Because that's where I get my best jokes from, is when I do get some sleep.
I love it.
So, what is the percentage of positive benefit that the insomnia is doing for Alyx? And I'm getting a 5% benefit.
Which means what?
What is the percentage of harm that the insomnia is doing for Alyx? And I'm getting a 90% harm.
Dang!
So, this is not a condition.
Good news.
No, this is not good news. This is something you don't want to continue. So
well, I'm trying.
So what we can do,
yeah.
What we're going to do now is we're going to inform our high self committee and our high selves. This is something we don't want. What we want is to let that creative energy out, and we can only do that with a clear mind and a rested mind. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to inform the universe of this is what we want. We want a clear and rested mind, so that way we can give birth to the ideas and the creative flow. And so we now tell high self that this is what we want to apply, this is what we want to clear, and we wait for high self to let us know that we're done. And there we go.
Okay.
Now it is clear. Now, some people believe that once we clear something, yay, it's all magically cleared, and we don't have to do anything now. Just let the magic happen. That's not necessarily true. What this does is it opens the door to allow your soul to communicate to your high self and the unconscious, your subconscious and whatever, to let them know, okay, all right, I know why I'm doing this now. Now it's time to let that go. To let go of that old pattern that was hurting me, and let in the energy that is going to not hurt me anymore. So now we know what's the block. You know,
Right.
there was some fear of letting this creative beast out of the creative genie out of the bottle. So now we've let that go, and now we can say to the mind and the consciousness, say, okay, we're ready to go. I'm ready to let this work. But to do that, body, mind, spirit, we need to work together on this. And
Yeah.
we work together in this by getting adequate rest.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go. And then you just had your first clearing.
Yay!
Yay!
So what do you think? What's your reaction?
Very interesting. Like, I can't believe how much stuff came up about me that is so true.
Cool.
That is good.
It is quite. Every time I see a new client, I am always, as the practitioner, I get blown away at how accurate they are, because I generally don't know my clients when they first see me, because I do that intentionally, because the less I know about them, the more accurate the readings are. Because I don't allow because if I know them really, really well, I can sometimes let my ego get in the way. Because I have certain beliefs, I have certain prejudices about that person or their life, because I already know them. But if I don't know them, then I can just let the information flow out, and I can be honest, and I can just speak the truth that as it's presented, and it's a good thing. And the client gets a great deal of benefit from the experience.
We've got some comments and questions, and I have a question too. My question is, it seems like this is all oriented towards someone who's trying to resolve a particular thing. So am I correct in kind of inferring this doesn't really work well for somebody who just says, figure something out for me? You got to have a clear question in mind.
Well, I sometimes, when people are clueless, what I'll do sometimes is I'll call it pendulum choice. It's a little more challenging that way, because without a focusing question, sometimes it just goes very esoteric. But what's interesting about that is people sometimes don't know what is blocking them, and they're like, I just don't know. Can you just figure out what's blocking me? And then we'll come up with something, we'll clear it, and then all of a sudden, I got a question now, because now we've unblocked it.
Okay. Well, that sounds like that would be valuable to a lot of people, because I kind of get the impression people get very confused about what's going on inside, and so they kind of reach for whatever question they can reach for, because it's the best they can come up with at that time, but they aren't really clear. They aren't really sure what they want. So anyway, let me go to some of the questions that have been raised. First, Shelley asked, what do you usually charge for these readings?
I charge $60 an hour.
Okay.
First clearings are generally 2 hours long. For us, it gives us time to get to know each other, get through the preliminary. What we did with Alyx was actually a pretty quick prep to work. To do the prep to work very thoroughly generally takes about half an hour to 45 minutes. So sometimes, because depending on what kind of blocks we get through the prep to work, now Alyx was pretty open, so we were able to get through a lot of that pretty quickly. But if she was like really blocked or had a lot of anxiety or a lot of fear around the reading itself, then the prep to work can take longer, which is why for a first session I usually go 2 hours. But then after that, it would be just an hour after that per session.
Okay. And then Jeffrey actually had a comment. He says, you and Linda would make a fun and healing show. You and Linda Armstrong.
I would absolutely love to do a show because I listen to Linda's show every time you're on, and every time she says something, I'm like, right on, sister. And sometimes what she says, no offense, Walt, it goes right over your head. And I'm like,
Hey,
but it's so obvious.
Bill, that's the beauty of running a podcast like this, because when you have so many people who are such high level, high quality people, about 80% of it runs over my head. And if I can get it down to 50%, I'm doing well. So,
Yeah.
no offense taken, I promise you.
Yeah.
And then Min asks, can I get a clearing on past memories?
Past memories, absolutely. Yes, I can do that. When it comes to past memories, what we do is we'll first of all we focus on the memory itself, especially when it comes to trauma. We can definitely clear trauma using this. If past memories are specific to an incidence of trauma, then what we can do is we can go into the soul record to find out what is the lesson that trauma was trying to teach you. Because even when we're looking at past lives or present lives and whatever, each traumatic event that we have has a soul lesson. And then once we discover what that soul lesson is, we can then clear it so that way we no longer have to repeat it. So absolutely, we can clear past memories with that.
Very cool. And then Jeffrey has a question. He says, so we can discover and release our unwanted patterns by using this method?
Absolutely. Using this method, you can absolutely get rid of unwanted patterns. For example, if you are the type of person who is always attracting the wrong kind of mate, or you're looking for getting into the wrong kind of relationships all the time, and that seems to be a repeating pattern. Maybe you had everybody you date is just like your dad, or every person you date has certain characteristics that are not good for you. Then we can clear those patterns, and so that way you can then manifest. Then you can push out to the universe what you want, and not let your subconscious mind attract what you don't want. Because your subconscious mind, as much as you can meditate and you can focus and say, this is what I want, and concentrate on that. If your subconscious mind is constantly bringing up what you don't want, you're still going to keep attracting what you don't want, because that record is still running in that back of your mind.
Yep.
And isn't that annoying?
Right?
That is very annoying.
What, that record's playing again?
Because if you like, for example, even for money, you're like, I'm trying to manifest, I more money, and at the same time you're thinking to yourself, I'm poor. That's not going to work.
Not really, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although I would suspect for most people who are in the deliberate creator category, we've kind of learned to avoid that particular trip, because that's more of an obvious one. So we probably tend to get tripped up on the more subtle ones, the ones where, we're trying to be politically correct about the way we're saying this, but deep down we really aren't feeling it.
Right. Right. I love everybody except them.
But publicly, I really do love them.
But publicly, I really love them.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That was the mindset I had when I was trying to do the script writing this weekend, but that's another story. So, okay. Well, you have to kind of get into the character's mind, because this first episode, we're trying to create somebody who's just basically in a downward negative spiral. And, that's a tough mindset to put yourself into. In fact, Alyx, Louise and I were having a conversation. We realized we got to be really careful, you and I. We've got to make sure that we do things to kind of clear up our own heads after we've been doing some of the script writing, because otherwise we'll drag ourselves down those same negative spirals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like method acting. You got to be able to come out of your character when you're done.
Exactly.
Otherwise, that'll drive you crazy.
Yes. No doubt about that. That's when we'll have to go to Bill and get cleared again. So,
There you
Right.
go. Always there for you.
oh, that's nice to know. So let's see. Do we have other questions here? Jeffrey says, I want to clear out my procrastination, but I keep putting it off. Well, Jeffrey's got a sense of humor today. Shirley points out at one point that program kept you safe, so it's trying to keep doing that.
Right. That is right. Yes.
Yeah. And it's true. It's very true. That's where you have to kind of say to the program, thank you very much. I appreciate what you've been doing. Time to move on. And here's the pendulum to kind of show you which way to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Don't let the pendulum hit you with a good Lord split you.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. And these and this is why I always tell my clients too that yes, even though we've cleared it, doesn't mean that the work is stopped. In fact, the work gets a lot harder after you've cleared a program.
So I'm not getting a good night's sleep tonight, is what you're saying.
I didn't say that. I said that you very well could get a good night's sleep tonight, but the work gets harder from now on because now, since we've cleared the program, that safe place for you to go into, that nice little cocoon for you to go to, is not there for you anymore, and which can be a scarier place to be.
Mm.
Because now all you have is yourself to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can do the work to reestablish the program. That's that is your choice. You can absolutely reestablish the program and not get a good night's sleep tonight and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can make the choice saying, okay, now I know that this is clear and not part of my soul record anymore. I would rather that not come back. Wouldn't it be nice not to have that anymore, that place to go, and instead find a better place to be?
Yeah.
And allow that curiosity to peek in, because here's what we were trying to. This is what you were trying to protect yourself from. You were trying to protect yourself from that creative egg in your soul from creating something beautiful. Allow the curiosity of what that could possibly be your motivation to get there.
Okay.
To not reestablish that program.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that a little bit. A lot of this obviously is work she has to do herself. What role, if any, would additional sessions with you play in the process? Like, who's doing what? Where's the division of labor here?
The division of labor is primarily with the client. The work is done with them. What multiple sessions do with me is allows us to start peeling away the onion. Yes, right now we've cleared one program. But life is more than just one program. Life is lots and lots of programs. And right now, we picked this one because it was the elephant in the room. It was something that is something that is causing dysfunction right now. It is a very immediate, acute problem that has been going on for a long time. Let's fix that first. And then after we fix the one thing, then other things will come up. It's like, okay, all right, now that that's clear, and now I'm starting to bring forth this creative stuff, and now I think a life partner would be nice. And
Word.
now it, and those sort of things. So that's what the benefit of multiple sessions with me would do. I have one client that I've been seeing on a weekly basis since November. Now, that's unusual, but this particular person needs a great deal of emotional support as well as clearing support. Mm-hmm. Most clients are usually between 2 to 10 sessions. Mm-hmm. I get a few one-offs. I do one session with them. They're like, hey, that's great. And I feel better, and they move on their way. And that's fine. A one session is great if you're already in a nice healing space. I have had some clients come and see me where one session freaked them out so badly they never wanted to call me again.
I didn't know you were that scary, Bill.
They obviously weren't ready. They weren't ready to work on themselves, because when what you will not find from a session with me is me saying, "You don't need to do any work. I got you covered." That's not how it works. The division of labor is definitely on the client. Is your choice to be better and to change your life to make a better to live that highest destiny. And that's something else we can do. We also involve spiritual coaching, because once we clear the programs and you want to say, okay, now that I have cleared my programs, I want to know what I was really meant to do in this life. What is my highest destiny? And we can go that way too. And then we can devise strategies that you can do to do that, including LOA today or whatever else that we're going to be that would benefit that person.
So let's go back a step here.
I'm not a licensed counselor, but sometimes I'll refer out people for that. And sometimes I've had clients that I've worked with that need acupuncture. And so
that works.
I'll refer them to Nina.
Absolutely.
There are other ones that require more aggressive trauma counseling. And so I've got people I can refer to with that as well. Because sometimes people will come to me and they've got stuff that is out of my league or out of my skill level, and I have a nice little list of people that I refer out to.
That's a good thing. Let's take it back to what you were talking about before, about how the division of labor is tilted significantly toward the client. And you go through a first session with a client, and at the end of that session, a major elephant in the room, as you described it, has been cleared. Okay. Yep. Presumably the client has gotten some information from you that kind of confirms and reinforces, yes, you're on the right path, yes, you're talking about the right stuff, and so forth. But I can also see somebody coming out of a session saying, thank you so much, this is great, now I know I need to work on some stuff. And then they leave the session and they say, so what do I do next?
Yeah. Well, that's where the counseling comes in. Because what we'll do is I tell them at the end of the session, so I tell them what their next steps are. The next steps is to, first of all, sit on it for a while, think about it, meditate on it, do what you need to do to figure out what this new you is. What is this you without the program we just cleared? Okay. And if they need whatever it is they need, if they feel like they need to go to somebody else, go to a different kind of life coach, or go to a different kind of therapy or whatever, then that's why I keep my list of people that I can refer them to.
Okay.
But if they want to continue with me, that's fine too. We can peel that onion all the way down to the core if we want to, tear away all of those programs and try and work to build something much, much better.
Shelley also has a follow-up question, and it's pertinent to this time period we're in right now. It says, Bill, what do you think about Mercury retrograde? Is it a good excuse just to let things go bad, or where does all this fit in?
Mercury retrograde. I've got so many friends who are really into that. I have found for myself, Mercury retrograde is generally not a great creative time. That's not the time to start creative projects. And the fact that we are in the middle of Mercury at retrograde may explain why you guys are having challenges getting the script started.
It certainly explains why we had trouble connecting to Facebook, because Facebook had all kinds of problems last week.
That's true. Now, I don't necessarily, while I'll acknowledge the existence of astrological phenomenon having an influence on people, when it comes down to the connection to your soul and your high self and your high self committee, you are in charge of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have free will when it comes to that. People who rely too heavily on astrology are giving up their power, their personal power, to that belief system.
Mm.
And so what I do is I acknowledge it. I know it's there, but then I clear that belief. By clearing the belief, that frees me up to do whatever I need to do that day, right now, in this moment, to do whatever I need to do, despite whatever astrological stuff's happening out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get yourself to that cleared place, because in the non-physical world, they don't care about planetary movements, because that's all physical realm.
Right.
Here is dense, here is heavy, whatever. That's what we're dealing with. So yes, there is some validity to that, but at the same time, you can transcend that.
I'm reminded of the phrase, and I can't remember who said it, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. And,
either way you're right.
And I think that kind of applies here too. I mean, either you believe that astrological forces have an impact or you don't, but either way you're right.
Right.
And it's kind of a splash of water at the face, like, whoa, oh, okay, so it's really me. I'm doing this stuff.
You're the problem.
You're the solution, actually. You're the solution.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. And, I remember one time, this was about, I'm going to say 6 or 7 years ago. My sister had a couple of friends, a couple of old ladies in Charlottesville, Virginia, who were both psychic. Mm-hmm. One of them was also an astrologer, and the other one was just sort of generically psychic. And we met them at Monticello, which was kind of fun. And did a tour of Monticello, and then met them afterward at the pub. I can't think what the name of the pub is that's there, but there's this very famous pub that dates back to Jefferson's time. But we met them at the pub, and we had some lunch and so forth, and they gave us all readings as part of our getting together there. And the one who is very much into astrology did all of her readings purely from an astrological point of view, and the other one did not. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting is each of them using their own modalities, they didn't say the same things, but they came up with very much along the same lines when they were talking about each one of us. And it wasn't like we were all sitting at the same table, but it wasn't like they were piggybacking on each other, because one would be giving a reading to one person while the other would be giving a reading to another person, and there was so much crosstalk going on. Nobody knew, what was going on in the other conversation. So it's not like they had that opportunity, but it was interesting. They both had their own modalities, and it worked for both of them. So whether you believe it or not, you're right. Which is really true of law of attraction, too. I mean, I remember this is a conversation Joel Elston and I have had, that he has a friend who is, I think, a psychiatrist. And his psychiatrist decided one day to try to convince him that all this law of attraction stuff was a bunch of bunk. And this is a conversation they've had numerous times. And finally, at one point, the psychiatrist said, look, Joel, I'm not doubting you that you've had some great results with clients and so forth, and that it's been effective, but you do understand, you do acknowledge the issue, don't you, that the only reason this works is because you believe it works. And Joel says, yes, thank you. You just proved my point. You got it. Congratulations.
You have now graduated.
That's right.
Thank you. Luckily, my psychiatrist believes in law of attraction and is a fan of the show, so I don't have an issue.
well, then to Alyx's psychiatrist, thanks for being a fan of the show, and thanks for making her therapy so much easier, because now she doesn't have to fight you about that. You guys can just be on the same path, and it's great. I love that.
Right? We agree on everything anyway. It's fine.
That's good. That's really good. Let's see. Min has a little message. She says, "See you later, Bill. I'm going to start meditation." I think you've kind of gotten her thought process going here, Bill. So.
All Very good.
Wouldn't be surprised if you got a contact there at some point. So thank you for tuning in. We appreciate that. Got about 5 minutes left. I want to make sure that we remind people about subscribing. I've been trying to make that a point to do more and more often lately, and that is encourage people, if you're not yet a subscriber, please do so. We've even made it more simple than ever before. If you just go to the homepage of our website, lawofattraction.net, you'll now see at the top of the page that whatever device you're using is going to show you a link for your device. So you just click on it and it walks you through the steps of subscribing, and just like that, you've got all of the episodes coming right to your smartphone every time that we do an episode. And then, of course, be sure that you're sharing the fact that you're listening each time that you listen with people on social media and so forth, so that they can get their daily dose of happy. And I just want to make sure we get the word out and remind people of that, because that's how we grow the show. That's how we get more and more people tuning in. So,
and don't forget,
yes,
to subscribe on YouTube.
And on YouTube, that's right.
And on YouTube.
We are including links and so forth. Yeah,
we have two channels, don't we?
We do. We have one channel that is just the video version, and the second channel is basically the podcast, but with no pictures.
Okay.
So we have it both ways.
So if you want to subscribe to the video channel, go to LOA Today video podcast videos. That's what it is.
Right.
And if you enjoy the show, jump down below and hit the subscribe button, and also hit that little bell so you'll be notified every time we do an episode and you won't miss anything.
See, that's why I count on you. You always remember those nice little details that are so important. That's really great. And we are including the link to that particular channel, the one that has the videos. Now we're including that every time that we do a description. So you can look in the description for this particular podcast and you'll see a link that'll take you right there. So that's the quick way to get there.
Yep.
So good stuff. So with a couple minutes left, I'm going to go back to you, Alyx. I'm going to ask you, what's your overall take? Now that you've been through a session with Bill, what's your take on it? What do you think of it?
I'm so excited. I want to go see a psychic. I want to go see a medium. I want to let's do all the rounds, get it all together. I want to know who's on my committee, because I need to know who's talking up there and, and whether to believe them depending on who it is. Because some people are not reliable. We're not reliable on this side. So
yeah, I want to know who the other 7 are. Right? we kicked all but 2 out. The 2 reliable ones were the ones that Bill kept. The other 7, okay, go away, come back later.
I wasn't surprised that there were 9 people there. I was not surprised, because there's been a lot of people in my life that have passed. So yeah, so, I really want to know who the 2 that were of the highest. And I'm like, okay.
They may not be anybody you know.
Oh, okay.
Your high self committee could consist of entities that have never incarnated.
Ooh, okay. All right.
So this is Alex's version of Abraham, then.
Yeah, could be. Okay, just while we still got a couple minutes, I just wanted to let everybody know that this weekend I'm going to be going to the holistic, the Mind Body Expo in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Oh.
So it's March 23rd. It goes from 10 o'clock in the morning to 6 at night, and admission is free. I'm not going as a participant. I'm just going as a person who is going. Mm-hmm. But I just thought I'd shout that out there.
Okay.
If you're interested in anything that I'm doing, or what you heard on the podcast sounds interesting to you, I can be reached at my website, which is www.ninag.com. That's NINAGEE.com. There's a link in there for services, and you'll see me. You'll find me that way. I also have a weekly blog there, and I have 2 books available on Amazon.
Well, you just saved me, because I was going to ask you to give people contact information, but you just did it, so thank you. I mean, did the pendulum tell that? I don't know.
For you all.
I think I'm just going to take a vacation. I'm not needed here anymore.
You're the button pusher. We need you.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to say thank you to everybody who came by to watch me push my buttons and to have everybody push my buttons for me. Thank you to all of our live stream listeners. Thank you to our podcast listeners. And thank you, Bill, for sharing this with us. This is fun. This is a good activity.
Not a problem. Anytime.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex, for being the volunteer as well. You did it brilliantly, I must say.
I tried.
You did very, very well. And on that light note, we will say we'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.